How do I incorporate hymns in my worship service? This might be a question that you are asking yourself right now. And in this video today, I'm going to give you 5 hymns that will work well with just about any modern worship set. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin. I'm a worship leader and songwriter in Nashville, Tennessee. And on this channel, I teach worship tutorials, how to lead songs, how to teach them to your congregation, scripture that goes along with it, and I also do worship ministry tip videos, things that you can do to resource your teams, or just different ways to grow as a worship leader and worship pastor in your ministry position or your role. And so if that's something that you're interested in being a part of, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Also, I will let you know that there are timestamps down in the description box below for this video. So at any point, if you feel like you need to skip through something or skip around, feel free to do that. You can also do the timeline thing. It'll show all the different points. But I will say, if you want to go ahead and skip to the 5 songs, feel free to do that. This portion of the video, the beginning of it, will set up the foundation and the why behind introducing those hymns. So I encourage you to stick around for the beginning portion of this. So how do I incorporate hymns into my modern worship set? This question might come as a shock to some of you because it feels as though, depending upon where you live, that the age-old debate of hymns versus modern worship is still prevalent, especially here in the South where old Southern Baptist traditions die hard. And I can only say that because I was raised Southern Baptist, and I've been to churches, even recently, where "How Great Is Our God" is still considered current. However, I do think that things have changed drastically in many churches where that debate is not an issue anymore. With powerhouse songwriting camps such as Elevation and Bethel and Hillsong and Passion, and now more recently Maverick City Music, the church has been resourced over the past 10 years in a way that has never been done before, to a point where new worship music is more accessible than it has ever been before. You think about Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. There's seemingly a new worship song that comes out every single week. And then the ease of access to the resources for those songs makes the process of teaching them to your teams, for your teams to learn them, and then teaching them to your congregation is way quicker, way more efficient, and easier than it ever has been before. And then I'll say this, for me personally, upon moving to Nashville back in 2014, of the few churches that I both attended and worked at and served at, we utilized hymns very little, almost non-existent. We even now, we don't do hymns very much at all. And I'm sure there's some sort of explanation as to why that is that we could dive into. We're not going to do that for this video, but the point is, hymns in a lot of churches are non-existent. However, hear me say this, that doesn't mean that that's a problem, the fact that you might not do hymns as much as you do modern worship. But you might be a worship pastor or a worship leader that does want to do hymns. So for instance, one solution to that issue is blended services. And my church, my home church, is notorious for this. They've done it for 20 years. And before that, in the 90s, it was strictly hymns. Another solution is you've got 2 services, which I've been a part of churches that have done this, where there's a traditional service and then a contemporary service. I do not like this because it separates your people. There's no compromise in that. And those are just a couple of examples of, churches that do both. But I want to focus on those of us that have those ultra modern worship sets with lights and cameras. You've got a full band and you sing the newest Elevation song every time it comes out. So hymns can be a little intimidating in times, especially how they are structured musically and how they're intended to be sung. So naturally, they can be hard to modernize or to fit in with a modern worship band. But most modern worship bands are acoustic guitar or piano driven. So if you can sit down with a hymn and you can play it on acoustic guitar or on the piano in a way that be more modern, and we'll talk about that here, you can build a band around it. It's totally possible. So let's talk about the differences between hymns and modern worship, just briefly. The biggest differences between hymns and modern worship songs is that hymns are melody driven. So if I sat down at a piano and I started playing a specific melody of a hymn on the piano, you would be able to if you knew hymns, or if you grew up in the church, you'd be able to recognize certain hymns based on what I'm playing without me ever having to sing at all. And modern worship is driven by the groove. It's driven by the beat. It's driven by the hook or the motif. It's driven by the harmonic space of the music, of the band, of the song. It's driven by the accompaniment of the song, not just the melody. For instance, I could play a hook of a song on guitar, and you might be able to recognize what the song is without me ever having to sing anything. So, for instance, since I have my guitar, right, totally butchering that, but let me know in the comments if you know what song that is. So the question is, how do I take a song that is melody driven and fit it into my modern worship band? Now, this question and the answer to that question very much depends on your specific team, your specific team's skill sets, your pastor's vision. There's a lot of factors that come into play here. So just hear me say that. It's going to come down to what is going to work best for you, because my skill set is different from yours. My worship team is different from yours. My church and their vision and pastor is different from yours. But in a more practical sense, to give you something, for instance, this is a horrible answer, but I think the best way is, again, just to sit down with an acoustic guitar or a piano and just mess around with it. Just try to figure something out. For instance, let's take the song On Christ the Solid Rock I Stand, right? So this song is, and a lot of hymns, the melody, if you read the sheet music, it's very on the nose. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. Right? The melody is like bam, 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 bam. It's very on the nose. And on top of that, I think the best way to do it, let's just put it in the key of C. That's a comfortable key for me, at least. Some of these songs need to be slowed down a little bit in order to be modernized, because that melody is very rapid and very quick. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. I'm sure I totally butchered that, but let's just take it and put it in the key of C. So if I did that same tempo, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. It feels rushed. It feels a little bit too fast. And think of the melody as a bit more loose, more loosey-goosey. Let the melody loosen up a little bit instead of on the nose. On Christ the solid rock I stand. Give it a little more flair, a little more style based on how you might sing it as a worship leader or a vocalist. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. I'm using this guitar. This is an old guitar. I don't have my other one plugged in, so if you can't hear it, I apologize. Let's take 'Tis So Sweet. I believe the hymn for that is, Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I've proved him o'er and o'er. So what I've seen and what I've tried is just slowing that one down as well. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Right, so something like that would, that's just an example. Sit down with your guitar, sit down with a piano, and just kind of mess around with it. Just flesh through it. Try to implement your style as a vocalist or a worship leader, or how you know your team would play it, how you would chart it. Try to mold it into that. So continuing on, taking these hymns and modernizing them is a lot easier than you would think. And I think I hopefully just exemplified that, that it is oftentimes you just need to slow it down a little bit. A lot of hymns are very rapid in their tempo. So even just slowing it down and letting the melody be a little bit more flowy or loose and not so on the nose will help it, will give it more of that modern feel. And then from there, as you chart it out and as you show it to your worship team. You can encourage your bandmates to implement certain style of playing that they would do on, let's just take Lion and the Lamb, for example, and adding it to that. Like, hey, where could we add a hook? Where could we add a guitar hook for this? What would be a good melody line to do? Drums, where do we need to find the groove? Should we have more of a snare roll pattern? Should it be toms? Like, what should we do here? It's an opportunity for your team also to pour into the song and grow together. Finally, let's get to the 5 songs. These are songs that kind of have already been set up to be moldable to fit a modern worship set. And on top of that, a lot of these songs have already been quote unquote modernized. Just give them a YouTube search and you'll probably find different versions of these songs that are done either by an acoustic guitar or piano or with a full band. This first one, which has been done very well, is by Passion. It's Jesus Paid It All. And for this song, I think they even added the bridge to this song. I play this one often. I played it this last weekend as well. It's a really good song to play at different events. If you're doing like a youth event somewhere or a conference or whatever it is that you might be doing, it's just a good song to have that either people will know, especially if there's an older generation there, older crowd. And then if you have a younger crowd, it's easy to learn and catch on to, and it teaches them a hymn. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Totally butchering that, but you get the point. That first one is Jesus Paid It All. The second song is Blessed Assurance, and we used to sing this all the time growing up, but Worship Circle, they've done a version of this. It's Jeremy Riddle sings it, and I believe it's in the key of C as well, and I've done this song countless times as well. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of love, blood or love, born of his spirit, washed in his blood, or love, I don't remember the lyric. This is my story, right? This is my song. And I'm pretty confident that the hymn is way more rapid than that, but you get the gist. And then number 3, we've got "'Tis So Sweet," which we just did that one. There's a worship community called Louisville Worship. If you YouTube them, you'll find their version of this song. They do a really good job of it, but it's already got a melody and chord structure that is pretty easy to modernize. So that's number 3. Number 4 is "Come Thou Fount," and that's another one that, like, it's like, I'm pretending this is a hymnal. Like, it's very, "Come thou fount of every blessing, tune thy heart to sing thy praise." It would be super easy to take that and, "Come thou fount of every blessing, tune thy heart to sing thy praise. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious song sung by flaming tongues above." Something like that. It's really just a matter of slowing that tempo down, and you'll find that it's really easy to just play it on acoustic guitar and sing it. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is "How Great There Are." This one, I think you've got to slow down drastically more than you think. It's easy to rush it, but that one is a powerhouse song. I feel like every time I've ever sung that song in a worship service, it's just so good. It's just such a really good song. And it also goes really well with "How Great Is Our God," or like "Great Are You, Lord," talking about the greatness, the goodness of God. That song works well with any of those songs thematically. But those are just 5 hymns that have really kind of stuck with me over the years. and that I do sing in some worship sets if I am going to travel, or I'll recommend for our church. And I think they're really good worship songs. They're really good hymns. There's bukus of other hymns as well that would easily be, you could easily take those songs and turn them into a modern worship song without ever having to change a lyric. Maybe a little bit of chord alteration here and there, because sometimes the chords move really rapidly and heavily, and so some of those chords can be throwaway chords. But those are at least 5 hymns that, again, have stuck out to me and personal favorites, and I think would be really easy to utilize and to sing and mold into a modern worship set. And let me know down in the comments below, what are some of your favorite hymns? What are some hymns that you've done recently that have worked? Let's say you have a modern worship band, you've got drums, anything that is not like organ or solely piano driven out of a hymnal, right? So like drums and guitars and acoustic guitar, bass, all that stuff. What songs have you done? What hymns have you done that have worked really well for you and your team and your church? I'd love to know down in the comments below. But that's going to be everything I have for this video. I hope that this was helpful, hope this was encouraging, and that you feel equipped. I'd love to even teach some of these songs if that's something you're interested in. If you want to see some tutorials on some of these hymns, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to do that. Follow me on TikTok. I'm filming right now if you want to see some behind the scenes and want to have a conversation and just hang out for a little bit as I'm filming these videos. I would love to have you there. And then also hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions or anything else that you want to talk about. That's it. That's it, isn't it, Desmond? This is Desmond. He needs some loving, apparently. So anyways, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.